Okay, so we finished 5. We began page 6, or is David. What I meant by 5 was page 5, and we started with Ois David. So in the previous Ois, which is Gimel, we started to explain how Amalek was the first to attack us. And as a result of Amalek attacking us, all the other nations attacked us. So Big Gashmias is talking about a nation. And when we say first, we mean chronologically first. But Baruchnis, it means that within every person, we have different sort of klippus, different kind of negative energies, so Chesed, Gvura, Teferes, Netzach, Yisoid, and Malchus. But the source of it all and the beginning is Amalek. What is Amalek? Yeshus. So in this Ois and in the next Ois, he's in the process of explaining how Amalek and Yeshus leads to all the negative things. So the previous Ois, which is Gimel, he explains how, takes the Mid of Chesed as an example, and he says that a person who is a Yesh is a person that anything he hears about, he feels that he has to have it. So number one, every tire that's out there, he needs it. And number two, the way he's attracted to it is with such passion that he can't come to terms with not having it, and he'll do everything and anything to get it. And eventually this would lead him to do things that are, other things that are negative, other things that are negative in a light way, and then it could even lead him to do things that are negative in a really serious way, because once he has such a strong, intense desire, and the kind of desire that I can't be without it, then it also affects his way of thinking, it distorts his judgment, and he starts finding excuses according to Torah that this is okay and that's okay, and then he, Chas v'Shalom, deviates from the path of Torah. In Dalet, he goes into how Amalek also leads to Gevura. The first one was Chesed of Klipa. When you talk about passion and desires and lusts for things that are not godly, that's Chesed, because it's passion and it's desire and it's love. And here in Dalet is talking about Gevura. So let's start again with Dalet. So just like we see it with Chesed, we see it also with Gevura. Mitzad Midas is Nasos, a person who feels very proud of himself, and a person feels very important with himself. Bolide kas ritzicha could also lead to anger. It leads to anger, and it leads to ritzicha. It could even lead to chas v'shalom, a person killing someone else. He can't tolerate and accept that something is not the way he wants. And that's the reason why he flies into this uncontrollable anger. Actually, what was the first murder in Torah? Cain and Hevel. What did Hevel do to Cain that he deserved to be killed? That's why he didn't do anything. He didn't bother him. He brought a carbon. Hashem accepted his carbon. But because he was had Amalek, this arrogance, we'll soon go into this, how arrogance also leads to jealousy. I can't stand that the other person is better than me. The other person is better than me. So when the other person is better than me, you have two choices. One choice is to become even better than them. That's a lot of hard work. So the other choice is, God forbid, just to destroy the other person. If you have two people standing next to each other and you feel very uncomfortable because the other person is so much taller than you. So you have two options. One option is to climb up on a chair and you'll be taller than them. You have to get a chair, you have to climb. There's another option, knock him down on the floor. Now that he's laying on the floor, I'm taller than him. So this is basically what Hevel did. Here was Cain that did better than him, and he was jealous because of his arrogance. So he decided, he was so angry, he killed him. So we see that Amalek leads to these negative, horrible character traits. A person who is angry, a person who is arrogant, it also leads to his purpose that he wants to boast and show off how great he is. So he's always out to impress other people. What this would include is gam al-bushe covered, to wear all sorts of clothing that would glorify him. We're not talking about the normal nature of normal people to wear decent clothing, to look decent, to look good. We're talking about, again, when it's an obsession and the person is obsessed with doing things that will make everybody look at them and think so highly of them and therefore they go out and they buy the most expensive clothing in the world because they want to show off. And that comes also from arrogance. Up until now, we gave two examples of how arrogance leads to negative behavior and negative character traits. The truth is, not only does arrogance lead to doing bad things, it also prevents a person from doing good things. Arrogance would stop a person from doing mitzvahs asay. Well, before we go to that, let me go over a little bit more detail in terms of understanding how arrogance leads to all the negative things, if you don't mind. Thank you. What I just handed out is a list of negative behavior or negative character traits, but I chose special selected negative character traits. These are all negative character traits that in Torah it's considered general negative character traits. In other words, there's certain character traits that are so general that if they're not in order, they'll lead to a lot of other negative things. And that's why in Pirkei Avos or Rambam, Chassidus, and all those svarim that talk about negative character traits, they'll point out that this is what we would call a key negative character trait. It's a key that leads to many others. This whole list of all key negative character traits are all the result of one character trait, which is arrogance. Let's go through the list slowly. To be selfish. To be selfish is a negative character trait. It's found in Pirkei Avos under the title Ukshani la'atzmi mo'ani. Maybe you remember this, where it says, Im eina ni li, mi li. If I'm not for myself, who will be for me? But kshani la'atzmi, if I'm only for myself, mo'ani, what am I? And if you think about it, so many of the things that the person is supposed to do in terms of Avos Yisrael and helping another person, it's all those who don't do it, it's all because the person is selfish. You don't give tzedakah because you're selfish. You're not going to do Bikur Chaylim because you're selfish. You're not going to do all the things that are supposed to be done to take away from my time, my money, my energy. and my peace of mind to go out and do something for another person, why wouldn't a person do it? Because they're selfish. I don't want to give away of myself. What's the basis? What's the root for selfishness? Why does a person want everything for themselves? And there is Yeshus. A Yesh doesn't want to be missing anything in terms of that this is everything I have makes me bigger, so to speak. If I give away some money, if I give away my time, if I give away anything of myself, I'm making myself sort of smaller. And a Yesh is only concerned about becoming bigger and bigger and bigger, not smaller. So a Yesh is a selfish person. There's another negative character trait, which is also very key character trait, leads to a lot of destruction, whether it's in a home, whether it's in an organization, whether it's in a country, in a government, is a person who's obsessed with the desire to control, whether it's controlling a spouse, whether it's controlling children, whether it's controlling people at work, whether it's controlling in your place where you're in charge of an organization or a country. The desire to control is very destructive, because when a person has that desire and everything becomes a power struggle, they're no longer looking at things of what's right and what's wrong. It's about who's going to be in control, me or them. And even if it doesn't make any sense, and even if it's going to cause a lot of damage, it has to be my way. Where does that come from? What's the motivation? Why does the person want control? It's also Yeshus. That inflates the ego that I'm controlling everybody else, or controlling you or you. Then, of course, Pirkei Avos talks about not being a person who is obsessed with honor, receiving honor. Of course, everybody is human, so you appreciate when people respect you and honor you. But here we're talking about a sort of an obsession with looking for honor. Again, what is wrong with that? Because when you are looking for honor, then again, you're going to do things that are out of line, that are wrong. Your judgment will be distorted, because all you think about is, will this give me honor or not? When the Rebbe always would speak about people in government in Israel that were giving away land, putting the whole country into danger. Rahman al-Islam, we don't need to be prophets. Many years back, you had to be a prophet. Now we see clearly how many people, unfortunately, were killed only because of certain policies that were taken. And then a lot of the times the policy was taken because people had a place in government. And they knew that if I go against the people in the government, I'm going to lose my position in government. And it's a very honorable position. I don't want to lose my position as a minister. So therefore, they went along with voting that a Jew is a Jew, even if he does Girish Leika Halacha, and that it's okay to give back land to Arabs, and it's okay to do this and that. Why? Because they wanted to hold on to their seat of honor. I remember that everyone spoke about it, and he said that usually people sit on top of their chair, but there are some people that the chair sits on top of their head, and the chair guides them which direction to go. If I'm going to lose my chair, I'll go this way. If I will get my chair, I'll go that way. The chair controls them. So basically, that's also a very negative character trait. It leads to a lot of corruption. That's where the corruption comes from, that people are more interested in their votes, or more interested in their position than the emes. Where does that come from? What's the desire for honor? Why does a person enjoy that everybody says you're great? And everybody say, wow, the minister just walked into the room. A lot of honor. Honor is Yeshus, without a question. Jealousy, we just spoke about it, Cain and Hevel. Jealousy means that I'm upset that the other person has more than me. That's jealousy. I always think of this example that you see with little children, because little children are very jealous, and they're very open about it. They're not so, they don't hide it so much. So if you walk into a room and there are 5 children and you give everybody a bar of chocolate, and then you realize they have an extra bar of chocolate, and you give it to the child that's standing next to you, okay, here you can have the extra bar. What's going to happen? Hey, it's not fair. So you have two ways to calm everybody down. One way is to give everybody an extra bar of chocolate, but there's another strange way. Take it away from this child, everybody's fine. Before they didn't have, and now they don't have. So why are they all calm now? Because he has more than me. But everyone said, there's an old word, how come when a person goes to a road and asks a shaila about kashrus, and the Rav is going to paskin that what you did was not, it made it not kosher, and as a result of that, you have to throw out who knows how many pounds of meat, and you lost about $200-300. You don't get upset at the road. That's the halacha. But if you go to a din Torah, a court case with another person, and the court case is about $10, but the other person wins the case, you get angry at the road, and he's not fair, and he's not honest, and he's not straight, and who knows what. This is only $10, and you get upset. And that's $500, and you're not upset. The answer is, I'm not upset that I lost the case. I'm upset that they won the case. When I'm coming with a piece of meat, there's nobody to win. It's just about me. So jealousy is the feeling that I can't, even if I have what I need, I have everything, but if someone has more than me, it's something which I can't tolerate, and that's yeshus. A yesh is always in a race. A yesh is always competing, and that's one of the things, is to be competitive. Who's going to have more? Who's going to be on top? Of course, I think E and F, these two probably go together, denying that you have any faults, which is also the reason why a person resents constructive criticism. In Pirkei Avos it says, there's a lot of it in Chassidus, that resenting constructive criticism is a very key negative character trait. It won't allow a person to grow. It won't allow a person to change, because I'm always right. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm perfect. They once asked a chassid, what did you gain by learning Chassidus? So he said, what I gained was like this. Before, when I said Ashamdu, I said, my father, it's his fault. Bagadno, it's my mother's fault. Gazalno, it's my teacher's fault. Tibana Devi, my best friend's fault. And now I say, Ashamno, it's my fault. Bagadno, it's my fault. We always blame someone else rather than ourselves. The person denies having any faults. And when someone points out a fault, you're very upset at the person, you don't want to hear it. And what is it that doesn't let me have a fault? Constructive, and that's yeshus. A yesh doesn't want to accept that there's something wrong. I'm good, I'm perfect, and there can't be nothing wrong with me, even though you're human, but that's what yeshus is all about.
What is denies?
What?
What is denies?
Denies makhish. What?
מכחיש את מה?
שיש לי איזה חיסרון.
זה כאילו לא נורא.
Okay, then you have a person who always sees bad in other people. You know, Pirkei Avos tells us, judge everybody else favorably. See the good in other people. So someone who has a nature to be the other way around, they're always finding fault in other people. Why? Why does that feel better?
Because they feel,
what?
Because they feel better
About themselves.
about themselves.
Right.
Self-issue.
Again, it's just because I have to be on top, because it's a race for ego, who's higher, who's better. It's not about what's right, what's wrong. It's about status and position and being higher and being better, having that title. So I feel good finding fault in other people, because that makes me feel better about myself. It means I'm better than them. And that's why to be competitive is like that. Anger. So here in the Maimer, he speaks about anger. And anger is a emotion that we know that it says in a lot of places, it's a key negative emotion. Anger is where a person loses control, becomes very destructive, and could destroy physical objects, destroy relationships, destroy other people's lives because they're angry. What is anger? So, right, this is one of the first things in Tanya. If you remember, the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, I'm sure you remember, sorry. Of course you remember. The Alter Rebbe says in Tanya that all the character traits come from the four elements. What does anger come from? Which element? Eish, why fire? So first of all, anger is a fiery kind of emotion. But he says also because fire is the only element that goes up. Water goes down, earth goes down. Air doesn't go down, but it doesn't go up. Fire goes upward. Take a match and turn it upside down, the fire will go up. Heat rises. So fire represents the attribute of, or the character trait of going upwards, of arrogance. And arrogance is what leads, because what really makes the person anger out of control is not that something went wrong, is that I didn't have things my way. The desire to impress, rather than doing things right and doing what's emes, is a desire to impress other people. And unfortunately, this also leads people away from Torah and mitzvahs, doing the right thing, because that's one of the Yetzer Haras, to go with the flow and to do things that other people will be impressed. And unfortunately, they're not impressed with things like Torah and mitzvahs. So I end up compromising on my Torah, compromising on my mitzvahs, compromising on my tznius, compromising on my honesty, because these are the kind of things that'll make people impressed with me, that I'm cool and I'm this and I'm that. So why does a person have a desire to impress other people? Why should I just want to do what's good for me? What do I care about what other people think?
Which paragraph, Tanya, did you say about the elements?
Perik Aleph. Right in the beginning, when he starts talking about the Nefesh Bahamis, he says that it has character traits that come from the 4 elements.
Is that reflected also in the Nefesh or those come from the
Yeah, but Nefesh Kiss is positive. So fire and Nefesh Kiss would be, if we would talk about the fire part, it would be love Hashem. Rishafel Krish Eish. It says that fire represents love for Hashem. And the arrogant part, I guess, would be not arrogance, but proud that I'm a Yid, proud that I have Torah mitzvahs, pride in a positive way.
But aren't all these character traits sourced in the Mishnah itself?
It is.
I'm just trying to figure out, like, really that, like, is it that you could see these traits in the element? Like, they don't come from the elements.
It comes from the neshama, but the neshama is made up of 4 elements, just like the physical body is made up of this chemistry to the physical body. And there are genes in the body that cause a person to be one way or another. There's also a spiritual chemistry to the neshama, but it's spiritual eish and spiritual ruach and spiritual upper and spiritual mayim. So what does it mean spiritual? It means it has the nature of fire, it's just not a physical flame. And the nature of fire are these things. What does it say about upper? The person who is down or depressed or lazy is upper. Doesn't mean that it's earth, it's not physical earth, it's the nature of heaviness. All the things we mentioned are ben Adam lechavere, but the same applies between Hashem. A person who denies Hashem, he doesn't want to accept Hashem's authority. The real reason behind it is also yeshus. A person doesn't want someone else to tell them how to live and to tell them what to do. Because the truth is, I don't want to go into it now, this is not the place for it, but people say, I need proof to believe in God. Probably from the whole Torah, every single detail in Torah, the most logical, that logic screams that it makes sense, is that there's a God that created the world and the world didn't just come about by itself. It's the most illogical, most insane thing to say that this world, with the brilliance in every detail of the world, the brilliance that science itself has discovered and keeps discovering, the brilliance in a cell, the brilliance in a fly and a bug and a bee and a tree, the brilliance in everything, the science and everything is so brilliant to say it just happened to happen. How did this airplane get created? You don't know what happened. There was a big yard with a lot of pieces of metal, and a hurricane came, and then a tornado came, and everything got mixed together, turned into an airplane. They would look at you and give you an address of a doctor, because I actually saw this, I think I have it downstairs, in a science magazine, where they're writing how the world, as science is getting more to recognize God, because they're recognizing how things in the world are so amazing, like, and so precisely done that it's impossible to comprehend that this all happened by chance. And then they give a whole talk. I don't even know what it is because it's science is beyond my knowledge. But they talk about something that in order for this to happen, which science believe that it happened, things had to be so precise and to the like 10 zeros of to the decimal of something. If it was off a little bit, it couldn't have happened. You have to be insane to say that this was just by chance. The muscle they give is like somebody would take green slime, pour it on the floor, and it would turn into one of Shakespeare's writings. Which normal person would believe that? So if the question is, if it is so logical, why doesn't everybody believe in Hashem? Why do people deny it? And the answer is not because it doesn't make sense, because I don't want to accept an authority who's going to tell me what to do and how to live. I don't want to have that kind of feeling that there's someone above me and I have to submit myself to that someone. And of course, depression, which is one of the ikers of kinyanim and simcha, and depression is surely a key negative character trait, as it says in Chassidus, as the threshold for all evil. Where does that come from? So Chassidus explains this also comes mainly from yeshus, for a number of reasons. But number one, for a person's to be besimcha comes from accepting whatever Hashem does is good, but it doesn't make sense to me. So I have to basically surrender my understanding and trust Hashem's understanding. Yeshus doesn't allow that. And also depression comes mainly from a person being obsessed with themselves. And the more a person is able to let go of themselves, a step out of themselves, that person, so the more the person's a yesh, the more down, you would think the opposite. The more yesh, he's an arrogant person. Externally, yes, but in reality, this will lead to, because this person always wants to be higher and greater, and everybody gets in his way, and everything is competition, and he all gets angry that things are not the way I want. Everything that we said before, all that leads to depression, and that's all part of being a yesh. A bittul dika person is based on a pasuk. Yosfu avayim anovim simcha. That true joy is by a humble person, just the opposite that one would think. So all this is about the negative character traits. I think by now it's clear, right? You trust me that all the negative character traits come from yeshus. In fact, tell me if you can think of a negative character trait and not associate with yeshus. I can just give you homework, okay. Well, be'emes, now we go to the asay tev. Be'emes, not only does this nasus get in the way and lead to negative character traits, it also gets in the way and prevents me from doing asay tev, the key mitzvah asay. So let's give an example of the mitzvah tzedakah. Being that tzedakah is called the mitzvah klolis, Gemara it says that tzedakah is a mitzvah klolis, it's a general mitzvah. It's almost like all mitzvahs are a little bit of a reflection of tzedakah. So let's analyze tzedakah and then see how it applies to everything else. A person who perceives themselves as very important, he needs everything for himself. Even things that are permissible, even though that it's things that, yeah, they're permissible, but he feels like he must have them. Then if that's the case, how could I give away what I need for myself to someone else? I need this. Especially thinking of a person that accumulated a certain amount of wealth, but it came with hard work, as is very often in the world of business. He invested a lot of energy, that a lot of energy, a lot of anxiety was involved, nights, late nights, and running and coming and going, ups and downs. So he says to himself, look what I invested in finally getting all this money together, and now I should give it to someone else. Then it's even more out of the question that I should not give it to another person. Unless if Hashem would give me a lot of money, more than what I need. Then he has left over because he has so much. He has enough for a house. He has enough for nice clothing. He has enough for vacation. He has enough for a private airplane. He has enough for a private yacht. He has everything you need. Okay, then he'll give something to a poor person also. But the truth of the matter is, what if a person does that? He has all the money that he needs for himself. He has money to live. He has money to save. And now, after all that, I still have some extra. And then I'll give tzedakah. He says, in reality, it's not really the mitzvah of tzedakah. The person's really not yotze. In other words, technically, he gave tzedakah. You can't take that away. But the idea of tzedakah, the principle of tzedakah, the concept behind it, he didn't fulfill. The truth is that the mitzvah of tzedakah is teves atzmei neisav ateles alasi. Giving tzedakah is not only doing a favor to another person. When I give tzedakah, I'm actually doing a favor to myself. What does that mean? Besides the fact that by giving tzedakah, I'm giving this poor person what he's lacking, food or clothing or a home. There's another intention why Hashem told us to give tzedakah. When I give tzedakah, I am performing an act of bittul. I'm giving away myself. That's all. That in itself is part of the main intention of tzedakah. As it says, this is a pasuk in Tehillim. Mishpat tzedakah b'Yaakov ata sisa. Hashem, you did tzedakah and mishpat. Yaakov by the Yidden. Another pasuk. V'shomru derech havaya lasei tzedakah mishpat. So what does that mean? It says, the act of tzedakah brings peace. Asiya kfiya dafka. So the word maisa, well, this came up once before, that in Hebrew, when you put a mem in the front of a word, it means it makes it happen. In other words, machil means to give someone food to eat. Ochel means to eat. Machil means to make someone eat. And same with many other words in Hebrew. Oseh means to do. Masa means to make someone do something. So in other words, masa is a term that's used when you do something not willingly, but someone else has to sort of impose upon you that you should do it. What does it mean here? That the way I give tzedakah is the way of asiya kfiya davka. That I have to bend myself. I have to judge myself, my dvarim momentarim, and have to think, do I really need all this money for myself? I should give part of it to another person. He has to think, this is the right way to think. What is it that I need? And the rest is meisers. That's what I would consider the extra. Not to think, what can I have for what I need? And what can I have beyond what I need? And all the extras. And then if you're all that, there's something left over. No, but to think of, what do I really need just for myself and my family? And the rest, I'll give away to tzedakah. Even though the Gemara says, chayecha koidman, so it means your life comes first. So why am I giving another person if I could use the money for myself? This isn't the case. There was a story that there were two people traveling in a desert, and one person had a jug of water, and the other person had no water, and they're in a desert. They don't know when they'll be able to get out, and there's not enough water for two people, only for one. And I have the jug of water. So what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to keep the water for myself? Or obviously, give the other person the water. But whoever is not going to have water, al piteva can't survive. So the Gemara says, Chayecha Koidmin, your life comes first, means, according to Torah, you have this responsibility to protect your own life. That's your responsibility. So therefore, the person argues, so I need all the money for myself after my life comes first. Says, no, this is when it's a matter of life and the opposite of life. But something like this, this is unacceptable. This person is going to have all the pleasures in his life, with all sorts of permissible things, but just enjoy life with a lot of food and a lot of clothing and a lot of traveling and a lot of vacations and a lot of all sorts of entertainment. And my friend, Yomuz Barav, Chas v'shalom, would die from hunger. Doesn't necessarily mean literally die, but of course, if the Gemara is talking about having a jug of water, what would you say if there would be this question? Am I allowed to have money and use it for myself, all these pleasurable things? And the other person, I don't have to give him money to prevent him from, God forbid, dying. Of course, that doesn't apply. So therefore, on a similar case, that a person should think of what is it that I need to live and live comfortable, gesundheit, but also to share with others. What is this based on, though? The union of tzedakah. It's really based on knowing where the money is coming from. If a person recognizes that my success with money is not because I'm so smart and I'm so talented, and I know when to invest, and I know when to buy, and I know when to sell, and I know how to speak to customers, and that's why I'm so successful. No, a person should realize it's all from Hashem. You could be the biggest chacham in the world, and you won't have parnasa. And you can be a foolish person, and you'll have an abundance of wealth, because it's all in Hashem's hands. The mash and that what they give him from above. So a person first of all has to recognize that it's coming from Hashem. Second of all, if Hashem is giving me this money, why is he giving it to me? I have two ways of looking at it. The one way is Hashem wants me personally to have all this money. And the other way is Hashem wants me to have money, and he also wants me to give this money to other people. This would be like Begashmi is, if somebody would hear that you're going to Eretz Yisrael, say, oh, thank you, great, here's $100 present for you for your trip. Hey, this $100, if you can give my cousin who lives in the same town as you, from me. And you say to yourself, okay, I'm going to do something very noble now. I'll give away $100 to another person. I'm not giving anything away. I gave you $200. 100 is for you, and the other 100 is for the other person. If you don't give it, you're stealing. That's what Hashem says. I'm giving you $1,000 every week. I want that $900 goes for you, $100 give to poor people. The person says, no, but I'm sorry, I need it. I need the whole 1,000. So basically, he doesn't realize, number one, that it's coming from Hashem, or he realizes that it's coming from Hashem, but he thinks Hashem gave it to me only that it should be for me. No, Hashem gave it to you that you should give it to other people. And why did he give it to you? The zakis b'mitzvah tzedakah. He gave it to you that you should have this chus of giving tzedakah. Or perhaps you can explain it. It's Kiminas Hashem Eschem Ladas. It's a test. Im Yamid bin Esayin will stand up to the test. Malus Chivose. The Kol Zeh, who will make this conclusion? Who will have this kind of thought process? This comes from Hashem. Hashem gave it to me to give other people. Mishu b'shiflus yizbeinim b'chol hanal. Ulevav yavin shekenu, he'll understand it. But if he's someone who's arrogant and very precious and dear and important in his own eyes, everything that he has is he must have. I'm sorry, I don't have anything extra. Someone once told me that he's an accountant, and he was talking to one of his clients who made hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And they're having a conversation. He says, I see there's no money that you're giving for charity. So he said, I can't afford it. $100,000 a year. It's a husband and wife, I think no children. What do you mean you can't afford it? Listen, I have a house here, I have a house in Europe. I would make a few trips a year. The plane tickets cost a lot of money. And I have a private yacht that costs money. And it goes on with all the things that he has. Like, I can't afford to give tzedakah. This is what he's talking about. There was someone, his name was, he lived in Cleveland, very wealthy person. He was the one who was the owner of very famous cards. What are they called?
Hallmark.
What?
Hallmark.
Not Hallmark. Henry Gansberg's father. What was his name? Yeah. Got his name? I forgot the name of the cards.
No, his name is the same as the card?
No, his name was not the same as the card. I forgot his name, but it'll come back to me. But anyway, he was very wealthy, but he gave a lot of tzedakah, a lot of tzedakah. So he was once interviewed, and they asked him, "How come you give away so much money?" So he says, "I can't eat more than 3 meals a day. What else should I do?" You know. He basically followed what it says here. And he followed what it says here, which is that I use the money for what I need to live, to be comfortable. My family should be comfortable. Give everything that they need, true. And after that, I give tzedakah. It's a schus. The truth is, it's a schus that a person should have this gishmak. There are certain people, when they give tzedakah, they have pleasure from giving tzedakah. They enjoy the pleasure of making other people happy. And that's an amazing character trait. But that comes from bittul, because a yesh just wants everything for himself. So this is an example how yeshus gets in the way of giving tzedakah, and the truth is, it gets in the way of doing all other mitzvahs as well, to be continued. Okay.